Hola chicos! Today we're going to be talking again about el subjuntivo, or the subjunctive, which again is the tense that's used with uncertainty in Spanish. And we're going to be filling in two different reasons for using the subjunctive in your Unit 4 guided notes. So starting with the R in You Weirdo for recommendations, and then the I in You Weirdo for impersonal expressions. The first reason for using the subjunctive is under R in You Weirdo, which is recommendations. Remember, the subjunctive is used anytime there's any kind of uncertainty. So if I'm recommending that you do something, then I don't necessarily know that you're going to do it. Take a minute to write down all of these important verbs. These are not necessarily going to be in the subjunctive, but these are what we call trigger words that are going to require you to use the subjunctive later in your sentence. Okay, so let's do some examples of how you might give recommendations to a friend. So starting with this first example, quiero sacar una A en mi examen, right? Your friend wants to get an A on their test. So a recommendation that you could possibly make to that person would be, te recomiendo que... Remember, that first verb is not going to be in the subjunctive because that's our trigger verb, right? The doubt isn't about whether I'm recommending it. The doubt is about whether or not you're actually going to take my recommendation. So I recommend that you study, right? We would take the verb estudiar, and that's where we would do the opposite ending. So estudies, right? Te recomiendo que estudies. I recommend that you study. I don't necessarily know that you're going to study, but that's what I recommend. And then example number 2 here, quiero ser astronauta. Perhaps you recommend that your friend go to college. I don't know. So we can vary our phrases here. Te sugiero, I suggest, if I can spell it, that. And then remember, to go is one of the dishes, right? So it would be vayas a la universidad. Again, our first verb is just in the regular present indicative because it's the trigger verb, right? I suggest that you, the doubt is about whether or not you're going to actually go. So vayas is the only verb there that we see in the subjunctive. And then example number 3, quiero ayudar a los demás. That means I want to help others. We might advise that our friend, te aconsejo que, maybe we advise that you work as a volunteer, right? So we'll take the verb trabajar, take the O, drop the O, add the opposite ending, que trabajes de voluntario. Again, first verb just in the regular present tense, te aconsejo, because that's our trigger verb, that the next action is going to be in the subjunctive. I advise that you work as a volunteer. Don't necessarily know that you're going to do it. Moving on in your guided notes, now we're going to talk about the subjunctive with impersonal expressions. These should look familiar to you. So filling in under the I in You Weirdo. I stands for impersonal expressions. These are just those statements that we use to tell our opinion, like es bueno, es malo, es importante, es necesario. And previously we were pairing them with the infinitive, right? Es necesario hacer la tarea. But now we're going to add in this little word que. There's going to be a subject change. So instead of saying it's necessary to do the homework, we're going to say it's necessary that the students specifically do the homework. And that's where the subjunctive is going to come in. So again, all of these phrases are what we call trigger phrases, right? When you see es importante que, you know that there's going to be a subject change, and then that the following verb will need to be in the subjunctive. Same thing with example number 2. Es malo que seas impaciente, right? It's bad that you be impatient. The impersonal expression is our trigger that the following verb will be in the subjunctive. So let's practice using impersonal expressions. How would you finish this phrase? Es bueno que la maestra. It's good that the teacher. So we're kind of stating our opinion, but we don't know that she's necessarily going to follow through with this action. So there's uncertainty there, right? So it's good that the teacher not give us homework. No nos. This is where we are required to use the subjunctive. Que no nos dé. I'm going to use one of the dishes. Tarea. Que no nos dé tarea, right? It's good that she not give us homework. Es imprescindible que los estudiantes, that means it's imperative or basically necessary that the students, it's imperative that the students do their homework or study for the test, right? We'll use estudiar. So you would just put that second verb in the subjunctive. Que estudien para el examen. Right? Opposite ending happening because we have this impersonal expression triggering that the subjunctive will follow.